interns. And members, and thank you all for coming. And we're going to start with Claire and our treasurer's report.
Okay, not much activity in August. We got more deposits for the canning class. If you've heard about the canning class, one's going to be this Saturday and then another one in October. And Bill Nodine will give you a report on that. It's doing very well. And then also the class of 40 is starting to have deposits in there. Not much in expenses, not much. Paid the insurance, and that's about it, some reimbursements. So that's all I have. Any questions? I'm done.
Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is call for, is to let you know two things. One, the membership meeting minutes will be approved at the next meeting, so everyone has time to look at them. The September board meeting minutes from September the 12th are now posted to BMS for you to look at. But the most important thing we need to accomplish tonight is we need to we posted the PPM that's been revised by your 2024 board, and all the changes that were applied were highlighted. We posted it on September the 12th, and we need to get a motion to approve that and take a vote so that we can move forward on that.
I motion to approve.
I second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
I oppose. Thank you, Tim.
Okay, so did you get that, Denise? You got three? Three? Uh-huh.
I'm sorry?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we got it. Okay.
And if you would, you could put my name as opposed in the minutes that will show up next month, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
Should I get everyone? Yeah, April, Janet, and Tim.
Okay, so the bylaws were updated and approved by the board. Copies are available for your review tonight and will be voted on next meeting, or October meeting, membership meeting. This is not on here, but our board of directors meeting is going to be a week early because of the fair on October the 3rd, and it will be executive session for that meeting because we're going to be doing budgets and approval of projects. We have a lot to do on that day. So the bylaws, so I told you about the bylaws. Just reminding you, if you haven't done your budget or project applications, they were due on September the 15th. So if you haven't done that, please get with Maria or Claire and get that in because we will be going over them on October the 3rd, and we need to have them before done. On October the 3rd, we will have a POCs. We'll receive the details to meet virtually or in person for quick question and answer. Sarah personally wants to meet with everyone via text, phone, or Zoom, or in person. So there was some apparent controversy last year over budgets and budgets not getting what the projects asked for. So she has decided personally to try to meet with everyone who wants to meet with her on it.
And I think part of the problem also was she wanted to make sure everybody understood that the focus has to be on education.
Right, so as Denise was saying, all of our gardens and our projects need to be focused on education. So she's trying to just reiterate that on an individual basis, okay? The next thing is upcoming plant sales. We have one at the county fair that runs the 10th through the 13th. And then we're also going to be downtown at Pecan Fest Trades Day on the 26th. and we'll have plants there, among other things to sell. And I know they're going to be doing some Ask the Master Gardener at the Big Red Barn at the same time, but to my knowledge, there's not a plant sale there. So if anyone wants to donate any plant sales or any plants for the sale that's coming up in October, Maria has made a form. She's going to pass them out. And we just want to plan on, if you're bringing us something and giving us something or you're proposing that you're going to bring it, that we know, so that we don't overbuy and get duplication of effort and expense, because it's all about trying to make money to fund our budget. Apparently we're going to do craft parties if you're interested in joining that. These are items that would be sold at plant sales coming up and then also into next year. We're planning items, painted pots, plant tags, gnomes, etc. And if you want to do that, please get with Benna or Sarah Puckett. Okay, and now we will have Starfish Awards. Does anybody have a starfish?
Does anybody, just a reminder, this is just your opportunity to recognize anybody that's done something good that deserves a little bit of recognition. Does anybody want to present any starfish tonight? Come on up.
Well, I would like to present one to someone who's always behind the scenes. A lot of times you guys don't know what she does, but she has a big heart, and she's always behind the scenes, and she always steps in whenever we need help with anything. But I wanted to present this to Wendy Salazar, because she's always, she's quiet, but she does a lot behind the scenes. She helps Marion Veterans Park out a lot. I mean, at any time there is help needed anywhere, she steps in and she helps out. So thank you for everything you do.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
All right, don't go anywhere.
Okay. And next we have our Education Director, Bill Nodine. Hey, Bill.
Okay. We really started off this year with a bang. I mean, everybody was out there getting their education hours. And here we are, like, you know, a quarter of a mile from the home line, and everybody's poof. So I really don't want to threaten everybody with a slacker list.
I'm making my sixth one tonight. The fair. I'm getting my sixth one tonight.
It's interesting, we've opened up a lot of educational opportunities over on the church side of the house. It's interesting that a lot of our membership is going to the libraries, to the senior centers to get their hours, and that's good. We ran into one today where they said, well, do I have to be a member of the senior center to come and do that? I don't know yet, we'll figure that out. But anyway, we still have 13 members out there with 0 hours. 1 and 2 hours, they're 15 to 20, we seem to be stuck there. So it's just pushing over, getting those 6 hours, but almost 100 of us have got over our 6-hour commitment. So think about that, and think about next year when it goes to 10 hours. So be careful with that. So opportunities to go get your hours. So Harvest Seed Saving, this is at the Church Senior Center. This will be September. We have another one in Cibolo. Maria will be doing the presentation in Cibolo, so another opportunity. She'll be doing soils and compost. Maria is taking on the whole Cibolo Senior Center by herself. So hands off to Maria. She's doing a great job, and folks love it. Same with Karen. Karen is out there actively engaging, doing educational outreach as well. She'll be doing the wildflower program here for our Lunch and Learn. We have Beth doing hydroponics at the Seguin Library. We have Peter doing iNaturalist back over on the other side of town at Schertz. And if you miss any of those, go out to the website, go to the video library and pull them up and get your credit hours. Folks, it's that simple. We're not advocating that you have to drive one way or the other to get your hours. You can actually stay home, go out to the website, get the downloaded videos that are there, and get your hours in. It's pretty easy. Next, so I just had a little bit of an interview with Travis. We do this every year about this time, September, October. So 3 months ago, we did a big seminar here at night. I think it was like 5 to 7. And it was the Texas Communities Future Forum, which is looking at the demographics of Seguin and Guadalupe County and trying to figure out where we need to focus as an AgriLife extension. So the response was, between the Guadalupe County Master Gardeners and AgriLife, that we have a really big area to work in, and our educational programs are really reaching the community. So much to the point that we've gotten the attention of the Commissioners Court and key legislative members of our county. So what we're doing out there is not going unnoticed. So the results, this year we've done 36 lunch and learns, and we have reached 626 people. Now please keep this in mind. About 1% of those are master gardeners. All the rest of them is pure public outreach, people that are not members of our organization. And especially in the Seguin Library and the Church Library, those people are screaming for us. They want more classes. So much that our classes in Seguin, that used to be 10 or 12, are now 50 to 60 participants in the library. The same way with Shirts. We had 25 to 30 participants. They moved us to a bigger room where we can get 50 people in there. That's how much these people want to learn how to garden. And a lot of them are insecure in where they're going to get their next meal. So they're coming in with the seeds for the season, pulling seeds, and we're teaching them how to plant, how to cultivate, how to harvest, and how to store. We're trying to help. That's our outreach, our educational outreach. And in summary, Travis gathers all this data. I'm not sure. I told Travis when it's done, send it to us, because I think every member needs to look at that and see what we really do. It covers the Master Gardener organization. It covers our lunch and learns. It covers our educational outreach and our service projects. And I really think, other than myself, very few people know that document exists. And that is what goes to the county commissioner and our legislators, and that's what gets this building. That's who pays for this building and everything we do in here. So that is the review. I know we go to the end of December, but the AgriLife Extension Office, their end of year is September. We did not get our September statistics in there because as of this month, just this month, we've done 150 attendees at 3 educational outreach programs between Shirts and Seguin. So hats off to everybody for that. Any questions? Great, thank you.
And Kathleen's asked if she could speak with you all. I'm going to start this card around. It's for Nikki Lake. She's going to be our speaker, just to thank you for coming tonight.
All right, it is time for the county fair. It is the second week of October. It's coming up. This is our last meeting before we have the fair. There are a couple things I want to go over. We have lots of raffle items that have been donated, and I want to read off what they are quickly. I'm selling raffle tickets. If you want to buy raffle tickets and you know you're not going to the fair, you can still do that. You do not have to be present to win. We will contact you if you win. I will write down, you pick whatever you want to put your tickets in. I will put them in the box for you. I'll make a note. I've got envelopes. I've got change. I don't think I can run a credit card tonight, but I've got cash. I've got some change if we need it. So An aquaponics set has been donated by Class 39. That's the class that just finished. In addition to that, an anonymous donor is donating a class for a student to attend the class for free. That is a, what, $250 value. Somebody gets to win that, and somebody last year was the first year we did it, we had lots of people wanting to win that class. We have a gift card from Body by Benna, massage gift card. We have a gift card from the Chip Chick, and that is for fixing windshields. You can get your windshield fixed for free. And let me just tell you, last year we had one too. It's not a super popular box, but if you put a ticket in, you have a really good chance of winning that item. So if you got a chip in your windshield, buy $1, it's $1 ticket, $1. 6 tickets for $5. April's mom, Miss Francine, is donating a gift basket. Planet Fitness, once again, is donating a 1-year Black Card membership, free. That's a $300 value. That is one of the most popular. $1 to get in that. There will be lots of tickets in that one, there always are. I need to check, I forgot to check with Barry before I got up here, but a lot of times, Guadalupe County Wellness Center, he's not listening to me right now. Okay.
He's processing it through the CEO, just waiting to get signed off.
So we think we're gonna get that. That is another really popular one. It's a 3-month membership to the Guadalupe County Wellness Center, and that is a fantastic area to go, and that's also very popular. Indoor pool. Yes, it's a really nice facility, yes. Let's see, Renshirts.com, April and Frank are once again donating 2 rain barrels. That is also, those are very popular items. There will be 2 of them. You have a good chance of getting one of those. We have a foot massager. We have, let's see, a wine basket. Another popular one, Kay McKelvin always donates a wine basket, and that's a very popular one too.
Drinking the wine.
Pam Malone's husband is a leathersmith? And so he's donating some of his work. So that's exciting. We haven't had that before. So some really great, and there'll be plants, there will be gift cards. This is just listing most of what I have. So if you're interested in buying tickets, you do not have to attend the fair. You can buy them from me tonight. You can get them anytime between now and the fair. I will be happy to put a ticket in the box for you, put your name on it and your phone number. So the fair, once again, is the 2nd week of October. It would be horticulture entries. You can bring anything that you have grown or made, such as butter, cheese, meats, anything that you've grown in your garden, anything that you have an orchard, acorns, field crops, can all be entered to win a blue ribbon for 2nd or 3rd, overall, or grand champion. And that's easy to do. All of that is in the catalog, which is out there. It tells you exactly what you can, how many of each item that you have to submit in order for it to be judged. And it tells you the times that we're accepting entries. You do not have to pay to get into the fair to submit an entry. That's all done before the fair opens. I have lots of slots still left. This is Sign Up Genius that I printed out. It's all online. I brought a printed copy in case you want to just look at it and see on paper what is still available. I need a lot of people for Saturday and Sunday. I've got just about everything else filled, but if you're still wanting to get some hours, you can sign up on here, or you can go to the link that was emailed to you. either way, I'll put you in. If you sign up tonight, I'll enter you myself if you don't want to get on there. And then you'll get the emails, the reminders, and then you'll get emails from me with all the details. All right, anybody have any questions? Yes?
Are we dressing up again or no? Possibly.
Dressing up in, so the theme this year is Flower Garden. So yes.
The price for the tickets again, $1?
$1 or 6 tickets for $5. Yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
When is the drawing?
Sunday at 1:30, and you do not have to be there to win. A lot of people are just contacted and they run over and pick up. If you can't even pick up on Sunday, we bring it here, we let you know it's here. You come during the week when their office is open and pick it up at your convenience. So it's easy. We make it easy. Anything else? All right, thank you.
And now we have Miss Ingrid, our communications director. So you should just push that and we'll slide it. Here, yeah. There we go. Okay.
Hi, mine's going to be short. One of the things that we've been doing is we've been trying to update our social media a little bit as far as we need to update all of our slides because Texas A&M has some rules that we need to start following about the branding that we're supposed to have. So we're working on that, and that's taking a little time. But I'm asking everybody, yes? Talk a little louder, Oh, okay. Do any of you guys know about the Nextdoor app for your neighborhood? When you go, if you guys can share about Class 40 or any of the other events that we have, like pick up the memes that we have on Facebook and just share them with your neighbors on the Nextdoor app. That would really help us to get people into the classes. And not only that, but most of these people are from Guadalupe County. And so, these are your neighbors, and you can share it that way electronically. So I'm asking for that. David still needs current photos for the garden projects for the websites. And so we can't go to all the places for current photos, but you guys are out there in the gardens. So if you can just take a picture with your phone and send it to David, that would be great. And he does our website. He and Frank does our website, so that would really be great. And I think that's it. Oh, and I've been popping around some of the gardens. I've been making videos, so we have a video about Class 40 that Tim dutifully helped us to produce. And so we have that out on Facebook and we have it on Instagram. However, I'm going to be popping up at other places, and I want to interview you guys, if you're willing, to tell me why you like being a master gardener, why you decided to do this. And we're going to do little spots here and there and put them up on our Instagram, on our Facebook page, on our websites. So if you see me around, I'm looking for you. So thank you so much. So that's what we're working on right now. We're also trying to work on some other things, but I'll tell you more about those things as it comes along, because we have a lot of work to do. We really do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so next is Maria, but we're going to step aside for just a second. Oh no, I messed it up. What did I do? Is this your video? Did you have a video, Ingrid?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Just go forward.
You do now.
Okay.
That's last month.
Just arrow.
Okay, so it didn't get deleted?
Just hit the arrow.
Okay, I'm gonna need some help. Yeah. So we're gonna do, Paul has asked if we could do a starfish, and Denise is gonna address the fun. Paul?
Good evening, everybody. Hope you can hear me. I would like April and Tim to come up here also. Don't be bashful, Tim.
One on either side of it.
I know they're on schedule and everything, but we just got word of something. Back last January, we started our largest class, class 39. We had 30 students in there. And this was in January. And then mid-February, maybe latter part of February, we three decided that we needed to get an extra person in there to help us out.
Team member.
Team member. I was going to say that. Oh, okay. So we recruited a team member. Jenny, would you come up here, please? Come on, Jenny.
Come on, Jenny.
Jenny took this volunteer opportunity and she ran with it like a ball. So we have, April would like to say something about Jenny.
Oh, no, I so appreciate you stepping in. You've done so many things. She does the copying, she organizes all the things that go out to the class, she keeps them in line, she does, what else, the attendance, she just does all the behind the scenes things, and we so appreciate you. So, thank you so much.
Tim would like to say a few words also.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So, Jenny has been very helpful as we've grown our team. Jenny's on our team, then we also have another lady named Tracy Royston is also on our team that still works full-time out at Fort Sam Houston, excuse me. But Jenny sits in with our class, but she does all the grading, verifying the grading scores and everything. Paul doesn't live in Seguin, I don't live in Seguin, so, when you drive 45 minutes one way, it's a challenge. But she has been very, very helpful, and it creates, by her helpfulness and doing a lot of the printing and copying and everything else, it just frees up our time to do some other things per telephone, and she just helps our overall productivity of our program. So we appreciate everything you do.
It was a lot of fun.
Okay?
I loved doing it.
Just an example of one of the big things that she did was a grading test that we had every week. If you could imagine 90 tests turned in on a Tuesday, and she would be here to grade them all, 90 of them.
Mm-hmm.
So on behalf of April, Tim, and myself, thank you very much for being part of our team.
I like it.
You got it, Dorothy. Don't walk away with your hand.
Thank you so much.
Oh, my gosh.
All right.
And I forgot Ingrid's not down here. Oh, no. I'll get this. It's fine. You're fine. Okay, you ready?
Awesome. Come on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
May I have 1 second?
Oh, yeah.
While I'm up here, if y'all would like to go to, it's virtual actually, go to the International Master Gardener Conference. We have information on how to do that. I'll put it in the back. It just came in the mail, so we're very honored to be able to offer that to y'all. It's a really fun thing to go to. So I'm going to put them back on the back table. I just got these in.
Thank you.
Hey, so good evening. My name is Maria Dykes. I am your volunteer director for Master Gardeners. So thank you for being here today. Just a couple of updates. The approved project document, that we are constantly updating it, and the bingo cards are going to be updated once all the projects have been approved. So we're in the process of reviewing those projects, and once all the projects get approved, then there'll be a new document that gets sent out. There is an update with Creech Prairie Farms. They have been removed from the list due to no contact the last year, for my knowledge, for sure the last year, because I attempted to email them. They're not in our directory, so I don't have a phone number. They've lost their Master Garden hours. They didn't do their hours, so they're not in DMS anymore. So unfortunately, they got removed from the list. They can reapply, of course, whenever they want to come back, so no problem there. Great news, there is an Irma Lewis Outdoor Learning Center in Sabine. We made contacts with them, and we're hoping that they'll get added to our project list. So Wendy and Bill Modine went up there this week, and they had a great tour, information, how we can help each other out. They have money, so we wouldn't have to worry about, us providing a budget for them. They got it all. Do you want to speak a little bit on that?
It still requires board approval, so we'll be
Yeah.
addressing that at our October meeting. And then we have, Bill and I will both have a lot to share about that. It's one of those things that you just don't expect it, and it's really good. We're
Yeah.
excited. But it's not approved,
Yeah.
so we want to.
So they have a
Next
great
month.
point of contact there, so that's
Yeah.
great. So thank you for that, you two. So there's many volunteer opportunities right now coming up. So the Big Red Barn School Tours is still out there. Kay's the POC for that. Is that right, Kay? Are you still the POC? Yeah. Okay. And then October 9th through the 13th, the pumpkin decorating contest. There's still some slots open for that. October 10th through the 13th is the Guadalupe County Fair. So POC's back there, Kathleen Smith. October 26th, the Pecan Festival in downtown Seguin. So the POC for that one will be Sarah, Wendy, and I'm gonna step in and help out as well. Okay. So that one's always fun. I remember doing it with my class last year. Remember you guys? Yes.
And there's a section, there's a Big Red Barn.
Oh yeah, and there's another event going on the same day at the Big Red Barn, which is it a tractor pull? You can speak on that, Kay. Go ahead.
Yeah, the Big Red Barn positions at this point in time for the Confest are all filled.
Okay.
Basically, we do an Ask the Master Gardener. We have docents there,
Yeah.
people who are coming to the activities there, wander through the garden and.
So y'all can go visit the Big Red Barn too, and then hit up the Pecan
If
Festival.
anybody has any questions or wants to help, I'm the POC for that.
Okay. And then on November 9th, we also have the Kingsbury Fall Festival, and Sharon Cooper is the POC for that. Do you want to add something, sir?
We do the Kingsbury Fall Festival every year because I do the hay dye with money in for the kids. But on that day, you can fill out the date by going to the aerodrome. The Kingsbury Aerodrome for the flying. They have a lot of old Model Ts, a lot of things going on, and a lot of old planes, and they have a couple of museums there, how they build them, repair them, and so forth. So it's a very interesting place to go to, fill out the date.
Can you do us a favor if you can? Can you get us a flyer for that festival? And that way at the next meeting we can pass it out.
Sure.
Okay, that would be great, because that sounds interesting for my kids, I would like to maybe.
And if y'all have grandkids or kids, bring them out to the hay dye. I've been doing this for about 40 years. I put in $600 in gold dollars for the kids. So they're diving through the hay.
Oh,
theirs.
wow.
They give them candy, they grab and stuff like that.
That sounds like fun, yeah. All right, another update is, myself and Ann Autanod have, I just call her Ann, have stepped in, and we are filling in for the Marion Veterans Park, as well as the, Gutierrez Park, in Shirts. Due to some, circumstances that they have going on, personal issues going on in their lives right now. So we're stepping in, so if you guys have any questions about those two parts, about volunteering, we're doing that, so it's a lot of work, because I'm going from Mondays to Marion Park, and then Thursdays I'm doing the Gutierrez Park, and doing it on Saturdays. It's just, there's a lot going on. A lot of watering going on right now. It's still really hot. I'm so ready for the cooler weather. I don't know about you guys, but so just an update on that. Also, I try to do my best to send updates like a few weeks before the meeting. So I'm going to pass this around. I sent 2 emails out on updates. So if you want to take a copy, you might not be an email person and you want rather have a hard copy, you can pass that out for a copy of that. Pretty much everything I talked about today, and some other information. And then also, if you are considering donating some plants that you've been growing to any of the plant sales that we have going on, I did create a plant form. So basic information, your name, what kind of plants do you have, vegetables, flower, or other. and then how many you have, and then this is just so we have an idea of how many plants we need to prepare for the plant sale. So I'm gonna pass that around. If you do have plants that you're growing for us, that you're gonna donate, make sure you turn this into us, any of the board members, okay? At any time. And you can also just drop it off at the library too. Just put a note on there. A reminder, volunteer director position is open for next year. So if you guys want to be the volunteer director, come up here and you can give all these little updates like I do all the time. And then I already talked about the fall plant sales. Please fill out the form. And then, as always, we have all these parks you can volunteer at as well. So, just the thing about volunteering is sometimes when you work at the parks, it can be something you don't want to do, you know, like you're against or whatever. Well, we have volunteers that go there. You can be educating them on how to do things too. So that's part of volunteers, okay? So, I mean, you might not want to plant things or whatever, but you can help by educating. Kids that go to the Guadalupe County Demonstration Garden and so forth. Oh, another thing about the plants, if you do have plants, if you need pots or dirt, get with me or Denise, because the Guadalupe County Demonstration Garden has lots of pots, those black nursery pots, and also soil that we can get to you, or you can come pick it up as well, I'm sure, okay? So that was one of the things on that form as well, okay? Any questions for me? No. Okay. All right, go ahead, Miss Wendy.
Okay, so mine is the same as always. We have tonight Nikki Lake, and before we get her on as a speaker, we have something that we need to present to her. And this is such a random, but she is a certified master gardener who never picked up her name tag last year or got her certificate, so it gives me great pleasure to present it to her. And then her name tag is in here. Thank you. Thank you.
And she needs her hours for this year.
You need that. Oh, yeah, okay.
Go back for a photo.
Yeah, so start logging your hours in. Thank you. That's so cool, right? Thank you. So we have, this is actually reversed. We have Charlie B. in October. He's going to tell us what to grow for our bees. It's okay, and Mark Vannick's coming in November. We don't know what he's going to talk about, but it'll be great. And the December Winter Social is the December the 14th. Information on that will be coming out at the next meeting. That's all I have for you today, so I make a motion that we adjourn. No, I don't, not yet. So we're going to have our speaker, but we need a 10-minute break, or we're get Nikki set up. If somebody could help me get her a table up here, I would appreciate it. So thank you all. Which is really cool if you check their website. I didn't even know about that till she decided to grace us and give us this lecture. But her lecture is on snakes in the garden. It's going to be real interesting. If you have any questions, she's a good resource for all things natural in the state, in this county, for sure. So thank you for coming. Thank you. Yeah, so thank you.
I know some of y'all are finishing your surveys, so I'm not going to get into the meat of the matter yet, but I will talk a little bit about where I work, which is a Discovery Center. So we're part of the City Parks and Rec Department in San Marcos, and our mission is promoting habitat stewardship of wildlife habitat in San Marcos and around San Marcos. So we grow native plants there for a couple of plant sales. We actually have one October 12th during the fair. And then we do a lot of growth for restoration along the river and in natural areas and for the city horticulturists to plant. We also donate a lot of plants to other organizations that are doing restoration work. So feel free to always hit me up if you're looking for some plants. We usually have, like we do pollinator gardens, we'll go and plant at schools, city offices, community centers, stuff like that. So we're just really trying to spread native habitat. We are a really strong candidate this year for Bird City, Texas, through Audubon, for certification through Audubon. We're on the Mayor's Monarch Leadership Circle. Hopefully this year will be a champion city. And then we're trying to be a bee city also this year. So we just sit around and twiddle our thumbs mostly. But one of my favorite things is snakes. I really love snakes and bats are two of my big passions. And so I figured out a way to put those into my job also. So we have a huge snake festival. It just happened last weekend. We had over 1,200 people at the Discovery Center, which is a pretty small place. And but people had a great time. We had a bunch of native Texas snakes there. How many of you guys have seen a snake in the garden before? Yeah. Quite a few, yeah. We live in a fairly snaky area, so that's not surprising. Does this work? Awesome. So one of the biggest questions I get is, how do I know what kind of snake this is? I get tons of pictures sent to me, which also you're free to do. I think my card's at the end of this presentation. But research has shown that people that join these Facebook groups, like Texas Snake Identification and Central Texas Snake Identification, that they learn a lot because these sites do not shame you. If you kill a snake, probably had a good reason, like you had a rattlesnake next to your toddler or your kid, or your pet or something like that. So it happens, people are worried about that. And so you can post a picture of a dead snake. If somebody says anything rude to you, they'll get kicked out of the group. And they just educate you so that you can kind of get to know these snakes in this area and which ones are venomous or non-venomous. Another really great resource is iNaturalist, which probably most of you guys are familiar with, but it's a great citizen science app, and there's a really good project on there called Herps of Texas. And beyond putting your herp sightings or any kind of reptile amphibian sightings on that, they have information about all these different native Texas species as well. So it's kind of like a field guide on iNaturalist, which is really helpful. And then, speaking of field guides are great too. There's a really good one called Texas Snakes. And then local experts, usually snake people are just like really hoping somebody will ask them a snake question. So feel free to ask, your local snake person. And then relocation is the other most common question I get. What do I do if I find a snake in my yard? So there's a really great resource called the Free Snake Relocation .org site. So there is a Facebook group you can join, but if you just go to freesnakerelocation.org on your phone or your computer, it brings you to a Google map. And that Google map has little pins, and you just hit the pin that's closest to you, and a person's name and phone number will pop up, and you can call them and see if they'll come and get your snake. Some of those people will do venomous, some won't. So I do both, but some people will only do non-venomous, and none of us get paid. So that's helpful in that a lot of people can't afford to have somebody come relocate a snake for them, but also some of us have jobs. So we may not be available. Usually I help, like, hey, if that snake's in a safe place for you to just put a bucket over it and a rock and I can come get it, in a few hours, that's great, so we can kind of give you tips or maybe give you other people to call. There's usually, like in San Marcos, there's probably 8 of us that are pretty close together, so usually quite a few around. And then there are paid relocators. Snakes of Hays County used to do that, which is my favorite professional snake organization. But he mostly does wrangling snakes on movie sets now. But in the winter, he doesn't do that. So he might be available. And then there's Hill Country Snake Removal. I'm sure also if you just Google that. The things to kind of look for is, hey, in my opinion, the things to look for are, hey, what do you do with the snake when you relocate it? Most snakes, most reptiles in general, even turtles, they're not going to make it if you relocate them too far away from their home range, or where they're found. So we try to do it within 1 square mile, preferably a half square mile from where it's found. So yeah, they just have a hard time making it. Sometimes, like with venomous snakes, sometimes they're brought to there used to be a venom research lab in Austin. Sometimes they're brought there for research, for milking to get the venom, but I think they just moved out of state. And then other kinds of resources like that. Somebody might need a snake for education, or it's an injured snake. I've had a few snakes that I've rescued from Guadalupe County that were stuck on sticky traps, or had like the plastic mesh stuck around them. The sticky traps are really hard, but if you ever do have that and you know it's a non-venomous snake and you're not afraid to do something, just use olive oil and just kind of gently peel the snake off. And then maybe don't use sticky traps if you can avoid it. And then, so as gardeners, you know, we come across a lot of snakes because a lot of these snakes really like mulch and rocks and things and vegetation, cool vegetation, things that like to eat vegetables, you know, like mice and stuff like that. So we're pretty likely to come across snakes. I have a good friend that got bit by a baby rattlesnake in the garden. She was gardening and she, you know, put her hand right on it and it bit her. Like, there's no really aggressive snakes in this area. It's all defensive. So it's usually we do something to make that snake uncomfortable. We step on it, we put our hand on it, you know, something that we didn't notice. So really just being aware of those snakes is a good idea. And I'll go into that stuff more in a little bit. But I just want to go through some of the more common ones that you might see. So rough earth snake, super sweet snakes, very common in the garden. They're fossorial, so they dig down in the dirt and compost. They're really small, so they're like this big. Their belly's tan to white, they're kind of brownish. They have a little bit blacker head. They eat earthworms, so if you have a healthy garden, you probably have some rough earth snakes around from time to time. And they have about 3 to 11 babies. Usually juvenile snakes look a little different than the adult snakes, so the juveniles are going to have a little yellowish neck band around them. Some snakes, like the juveniles, look totally different than the adults, kind of like birds in that way. DeKay's brown snake looks very similar to an earth snake to a lot of people, has a little bit more of a pattern on it, those little black spots. They're also small, so less than a foot, and they are really common in human inhabited areas. They like moisture, and they also eat snails, slugs, and earthworms. So yay DeKay's earth.
There was a question over here.
Oh.
On that last one, is it the same as a blind snake?
No, it's not. So blind snake, I don't think I have that in here, but blind snakes they're even smaller. They are real glossy looking, kind of pinkish, brownish. Usually about maybe a big one would be this long. People see them and think they're worms, find them in their kitchen a lot. I guess maybe they come up through the pipes. Yeah, and they're really cool. So they're ant larva specialists. So they live in ant mounds mostly, and they secrete an enamel so they poop and they secrete themselves with this, cover themselves with this enamel, and that's why they're all shiny, and that gives them protection against ant bites. So kind of cool, yeah. And flat-headed snake looks a lot like those other two snakes. So they're going to be, again, like small, 7 to 8 inches, but they have a pink to red belly, so that's a really good way to tell them apart from the other ones. They also like to just dig under stuff, and their eggs hatch in the summer as well.
So their egg layers and the other ones were...
Yeah, so some of them give birth to live young, which basically means in snakes that they have eggs inside of their body that hatch live, and then they come out live. So they actually hatch from eggs, but inside the body. And then some of them lay the eggs, and then they hatch outside the body.
Question. I have a quick question. I don't know if you know the answer to this, but do they help with the composting process? I know they eat the earthworms.
Yeah, so, I mean, the snakes, in terms of their waste, they are kind of like birds. They have really concentrated poop and pee that happens at the same time, and so it's probably not like that particular substance part doesn't help, but they do help with aerating the soil and digging through the soil. Yeah. And then the checkered garter, which is one I find the most common in my yard. They're super cute, brown, gray, tan, brown, olive. They have this really checkery pattern, usually like some pale yellow stripes along the side and down the middle. And they can be a lot longer, so they can be up to like 2 feet long, and they tend to burrow. So I usually find them like around the edges of my garden. If it's like a raised bed, veggie garden, I find them under those rocks or logs. So, and they're very friendly snakes, so I've never been bit by one that I picked up before. I'm not telling you to go pick up a snake, but I haven't, and it was no problem.
Mice, do they eat?
I believe they eat more like insects and probably earthworms and stuff like that as well. Yeah, they might eat a small mouse if they found it. And then the western rat snake is one that it really freaks people out. So they get really long. They're like 3 to 6 feet long. A lot of people just assume they're venomous because they're so big, and they kind of can sound like a rattlesnake, so they'll like blow themselves up with air, and they kind of sound like a rattlesnake, and they'll actually move their little tail and try to pretend they're a rattlesnake as a defense mechanism. They love to climb. We have a corn snake, which is a red rat snake, so they wouldn't be found here, but they fill the same niche like in Louisiana, Mississippi, Florida. But he is shedding right now, so he couldn't come because they're really sensitive when they're shedding. They can't see anything, so they like to hide for a few days, and then they shed, and then they're like, hey, here I am. But they're really great climbers, so they really like to climb all over you. So I'm bummed that I can't bring him because he's really big, He won our Snake Olympics this year as the friendliest snake in the world, the corn snake. Yeah, they're just super friendly. Western rat snakes, they're really not going to come after you or anything like that. But if you grab them, they might bite you, which kind of seems fair. Like, if somebody grabbed me that I didn't know, giant, I'd probably bite them too. So these can look very different when they're juveniles. And I don't think I have a picture, but their juvenile pattern is just really, it looks more like kind of a Great Plains rat snake, so it's a lot different. When they get older, they get a lot darker, but sometimes they'll retain their pattern, so there's a lot of variability in them. They will eat eggs, and so if you have chickens, you've probably met a rat snake before. One thing that we recommend if you don't want to kill a rat snake is to glue your fake eggs down because they'll ingest those often and they can't digest them.
That's what I was going to ask that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so just gluing those down and then they won't be able to swallow it.
Another weird question. What do you do if it gets in your car?
If it gets in like your engine or something?
Yeah, we watched one just my dad scared it into the vehicle.
Yeah.
And then he went into the engine. I don't know what to do with him. I don't have to get out.
Yeah, that's a hard question. Like, I would call a relocator in that instance to help you. Yeah, they'd probably leave, especially when it got cold. A lot of times they're trying to get warm, just like kittens get in your car engines and stuff. So they're just trying to warm up. So that happens actually quite frequently. But yeah, I've had to help people get them out of their car before. It's not fast. It doesn't seem like. And then, so those are just some of the more common garden ones. I could talk about snakes all night, but I want to get through some other kind of information, and I definitely want to cover the venomous. But you guys are free to reach out to me if you have any questions about other snakes around here. Or the mice. So I'm a big fan of rattlesnakes. I spent a lot of time with rattlesnakes. I used to work for Texas Parks and Wildlife, and I did a lot of resource surveys, especially around caves. And we had a lot of rattlesnakes, black-tailed rattlesnakes and diamondback rattlesnakes around caves. And I would do a lot of cricket counts around these endangered species caves. And the rattlesnakes would be waiting for the mice and the bats and other things to come out of the cave. And so we would just be sitting next to each other, like me right here, rattlesnake right there, and we're just both doing our thing. And they're not coming after me, they're totally docile. So it's like, as long as you leave them alone, they're going to leave you alone. But ways to recognize them, one of the biggest things, people think a way to recognize a snake is their triangle head. But there's a lot of snakes that have triangular heads, like that rat snake. Water snakes, like plain-bellied water snake, diamondback water snake, are non-venomous, have very triangular heads. A lot of snakes, like Champ here, she's a Mexican hognose, will flatten their head out and kind of try to look like they have a diamond-shaped head when they're scared. So that works sort of to kind of give you an initial impression, but it's not a diagnostic tool. And then a lot of people say the vertical pupils are a good way to tell. So the pit vipers would have vertical pupils unless it's really dark outside, and just like us, their eyes dilate, so they could have round eyes in the darkness. And then coral snakes don't have vertical pupils because they're not a pit viper. But western diamondbacks have this black and white striped tail, and then they have the fancy thing on the end of it, which is a rattle. Most of the time, every once in a while their rattle gets broken off.
Some people say that they're no longer rattling. Are they still rattling?
They're still rattling. I mean, some just are more prone to rattling than others, but there has been research to try to test that theory, and nothing has shown that they've rattled less.
Okay.
So there was a theory that, like, people are hunting them, and so they started rattling less, you know? Yeah. I do think that they have some, like, capability of learning, but there's no research has shown that that's really happening. Yeah.
I'm sorry, you said, the last part you said was that the rattle breaks off sometimes?
Yeah, sometimes. So there are animals that like go after rattlesnakes, like feral hogs and javelina, and maybe even some deer and stuff like that. And so I've seen one before, a black-tailed rattlesnake that got its rattle broken off by a javelina. So it's possible. It's not super common, and every time they shed, they grow a new button on their rattle. So they'll regrow buttons as they shed, but as they get older, they shed less, so they'll grow less buttons. It's not annual, no. So it's like when they're younger and they're growing a lot, they'll shed probably 3 or 4 times a year pretty frequently, and then as they get older, they shed less. So maybe a couple of times a year.
Is it true that the smaller ones
have more venom or can't control their venom? It's not true, no. So they have the same amount of venom. They might be a little more bitey than the adults. Like most rattlesnakes, I've honestly walked over 4 rattlesnakes that I know of, like walked right over them. One of them which somebody warned me about and I forgot. In the woods, and it was like rattling. I don't know how I missed it anyway, but it didn't bite me. And I've talked to people. I mean, people have been bit too, but they don't want to waste their venom on you because that's what they get their food with, you know. They do have an interesting thing. I could pass this around. So rattlesnakes, you know, all venomous snakes have fangs, and rattlesnakes actually have spare fangs. So this is a replica of a rattlesnake skull, and so they have their 2 fangs that they would bite you with, but then if one of their fangs breaks, they have a spare fang, like a spare tire. So you guys can pass that down if you want to. And you're welcome to open it, just don't touch it if you don't mind, because it's a little sensitive.
I just wonder, how do they catch a bat?
So rattlesnakes and like coach whips, have anybody here been to Bracken Cave before? Yeah, so Bracken is like the largest concentration of bats in the world, and as they're coming out, they're doing their bat NATO, and some of them get knocked to the ground, especially the younger ones can't get up, or the hurt ones that got hurt when they hit the ground. So most of the snakes are on the ground waiting for them. There are like rat snakes. Rat snakes will hang from the cave ceiling and pick them off out of the air. It's pretty cool. and then they have heat-seeking pits. So if anyone's ever looked through like an infrared camera or something, that's what a rattlesnake sees. So it looks for heat. Interestingly, if you turn that camera back on it, unless it's hot, you wouldn't notice the rattlesnake because they're usually cold or they're the temperature of their environment. Oh, I think maybe, so just let me finish this and then I'll answer your question. So they're going to be most active during the day and at dusk. They're kind of like us, most snakes. They don't want to be out in 98 degrees in the middle of the day in Texas, so they're going to be in cool spots, which is in our garden, right underneath our vegetation, and under those lockwood piles. They can lunge about 2/3 of their body length. I know there's like some myths that they can jump twice their body length, which they cannot do. And they're generalists, mostly going to eat small mammals, and again, they're really not aggressive. So,
This one lady right in front of me has a question.
Oh, okay. Oh, awesome. Another one is, I'm going to say this about every snake. Another one of my favorites is a water moccasin or cottonmouth. I used to work at Hamilton Pool Preserve, and one of my jobs was to babysit the water moccasins and keep people from beating them to death. Because that's what people were afraid of them, so they wanted to beat them up. But me and the snake just hung out there for like 3 hours next to each other. So the snake wasn't doing anything. They do have a defense mechanism that's a little unnerving, which is gaping. So they open their mouth like that when they're scared, or when they're fishing, when they're adults. And then the juvenile looks way different from the adult. So you can see that it has a little green tip of its tail that it wiggles to lure in like frogs and toads and stuff like that. And as they get older, they lose that because then they start hunting their own food.
So with those, they don't chase you?
They don't chase you.
Okay.
No. Sometimes people feel like they might be chasing them because they're on the water. Right. And these guys swim on top of the water. And I've heard people say, I tried to slap it with my paddle and it came right at me. And it's like, no, it panicked and it's trying to get on land, So if it sees a boat or something like that, I've paddled, again, sat next to it and paddled next to water moccasins. They don't want to bite you. They can bite you. They can bite you under the water, in the water. But they really aren't prone to biting unless you're trying to kill it or catch it, which is most snakes.
The bottom picture there reminds me of the banded water snakes.
So different, and I don't think I have it on here, but I do think I have a poster in here I could share. So the different is, it has these kind of blocks right here, but a banded water snake would have black lines right here. And I can show you I don't have a banded, but I have I think a diamondback and a plain-bellied picture that it could show you. So it does look, it's kind of more checkerboardy. Those would be just straight lines.
Okay, yeah. Like that bottom picture with the browner.
Yeah.
I've seen snakes that look similar to that, and they told me they were water
snake, yeah. So it's more just black straight lines instead of blocks like that. Yeah.
I think if you push that button, it will make a little mark on that.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Oh my God, how fancy. Okay. So another way to tell them is they have a really short, squatty body. So they're going to look a lot thicker than those water snakes are. They have those heat-sensing pits, broadhead, vertical pupils most of the time, but not all the time if it's dark. Their coloration varies, they're super kind of really pretty color when they're little, and then they get darker as they get older. They can be kind of completely black when they're really old. Gape when threatened, again, not aggressive. And then broad-banded copperhead. This is probably the one I hear the most about people getting bit by, actually. And they're really pretty. They're not aggressive, but they're found in weird places you wouldn't expect them to be. So they have this really bandy pattern. They have a broad head. They're not super long, a couple of feet. They prefer wooded habitats, and they do actually climb a little bit. So I've heard of people at Fort Hood getting bit, sitting down doing a bird survey, and they sat right on a snake that was on a branch behind them and got bit. And then they want some good cover. I usually find them near creeks and stuff like that. And their favorite food is cicadas, which is kind of interesting to me. And then they love caterpillars second. So there was I heard a talk recently on Trans-Pecos copperheads, and they actually found that their study is showing that they think they're actually traveling for food next to roads, when it's raining and all that vegetation goes next to the road, and there's a lot more caterpillars and stuff in that vegetation, so they'll actually travel for food. And then during cicada season, they travel to areas where there's more cicadas. That's kind of cool. And then they'll also eat mice, frogs, toads, lizards, all that other kind of stuff.
I know it says lightly wooded habitats, but we find them most often, I think it's this one we find most often in the sandy areas.
Oh, yeah?
Is it copperheads that are in the sandy areas?
They're all over the place. Yeah, so they could be pretty much anywhere, but that's just their preference. Yeah. And then the Texas coral snake. So how many people you think have ever been bit by a Texas coral snake? Or, I'm sorry, how many people you think have ever died from a bite from a Texas coral snake?
Not many.
Zero that we know of. For eastern coral snake, which is like Florida, there's been 1 death in 40 years. And that was these train hobos that one of them, like they were sitting in a lean-to and a coral snake came in and they broke a bottle and they kept trying to kill the snake with the broken bottle and the snake kept biting them. And one of them rode their bike to the hospital and got help and the other one just started drinking. And so that guy died. But you kind of have to work to get killed by a coral snake. So most places don't carry coral snake anti-venom because it's just uncommon for them to even bite people. But the things that get bit more often by coral snakes are pets, and then kids are kind of fascinated by them because of their color. So that's something to be concerned about. But the great news is nobody's ever died from a Texas coral snake. We have great hospital care, which is awesome. And they're very worm-like. So the other part about coral snakes, and I think I might have a slide on this, is you've heard the rhyme, red and yellow kill a fellow, red and black venom whack. There's a bunch of aberrant coral snakes around, and they're finding more and more that are just black and yellow. Some of them are white with red, like all kinds of them. There's this guy, Dante Fenolio, if you follow him on Facebook, he works at the zoo. And he has a project going where he's collecting photos of all these coral snakes that don't look like coral snakes, but they do look like coral snakes in that they look like a gigantic worm. So coral snakes have like no neck. They don't have what was I going to say? They have a giant neck. They're pretty long, fairly long, so they're not like the blind snake or something else that looks like a worm. And they're fossorial a lot, so they really like to be under mulch. They are very common in gardens. And so let's see, did I put that up here? Yes, I did. So these are all coral snakes. But they all have that same shape, right? So, yeah, and a lot of those are found around here, like in New Braunfels. Some of those were found in New Braunfels, Austin area. And he's even added more to this. That one on the top is really crazy to me. So a lot of people worry about that rhyme, but we don't actually have milk snakes in Texas. I mean, we do in Texas, but not here. Like South Texas has milk snakes. I think West Texas has milk snakes. Central Texas, we don't have milk snakes. But how many people have ever heard that milk snakes drink milk? Okay, so this was a new one for me, but until I started doing this study, so apparently people used to think milk snakes drank milk because they were found in barns around cattle and stuff, so they thought they were there to drink the cow's milk. And that's why they call them milk snakes. But we don't actually have them around here, so.
I thought the rhyme was for king snakes and coral snakes.
No, not the one that I know about, but they're, actually it would work probably for king snakes. But we don't have that type of king snake in Central Texas either, yeah. So snake stats, to make y'all feel a little better. About 7,000 people are bitten by venomous snakes in the U.S. every year. But only about 5 people actually die from them in the United States, which is the good news. Roughly half of all snake bites are dry, so they don't inject venom when they bite you because they want to save that venom for their prey. And the snake victims tend to be males, about 11 to 19, bitten on the hand while trying to pick them up. And then dead snakes can bite. So if you find a dead rattlesnake on the road or something like that, you don't want to pick it up, with your hands or anything. Maybe scoop it in a bucket with a tool or something like that, you'll be all right. But you don't want to pick them up because they can bite hours later. So what do you do if you do get bit by a snake? Don't bite the snake. Get away from the snake is the first rule of business. Don't try to capture or kill them. Remove constrictive clothing or jewelry, because if it's a pit viper, you're going to start swelling.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I thought they said you're supposed to capture it to know what snake.
No, because all the same antivenom is used for any pit viper bite. So, yeah, yeah, because they're all related to each other. So, yeah. So yeah, you don't want to capture it. You can take a picture of it if it's safe, but you don't want to capture it. For pit vipers, you don't want to place the extremity below heart level. You want to really actually, it depends on what you got bit by. So copperheads and cottonmouths you want to do above heart level, rattlesnakes at heart level. So most of the time you're going to get bit on an extremity, unless you sat on a snake or something and got bit on your butt. But mostly it's hands and feet that get bit. So it pretty much focuses on extremities. And then once you're at the hospital, always elevate. There's a lot of misinformation about what to do with snake bites, especially, actually with medical professionals and with veterinarians. So I'm going to give you guys resources to know what to do, and people that will advocate for you to tell that medical professional you're doing the wrong thing. So there's a group on Facebook called National Snakebite Support, and it's run by Dr. Spencer Green, who's the world's authority in snake bites. And he actually, I have a friend who's he just tells me to give his phone number out to people. I don't think this guy sleeps ever. But there's a bunch of vets and doctors that moderate that site. And you post that you have a snake bite. Nobody else is allowed to comment on it. They get the vets and doctors to comment on what's going on with you. You give them updates, and they advocate for you. But they have all the protocols on that website of what should be happening. So you can say, oh, I don't think that's the right thing, or I heard that's not what you're supposed to do. So coral snakes are totally different because they are, so pit viper venom is hemotoxin, so it's going to impact your blood. Coral snake is a neurotoxin, so you're going to treat them differently. So for them, you might want to wrap a wide elastic compression bandage around your limb and immobilize it, especially if you're an hour or so away from the hospital. So those other ones you would not want to use a splint. But this one you would. You wouldn't want to go running after you got bit by a rattlesnake or a copperhead. So you still want to be calm and move slowly, so you're not pumping that blood through. You don't want to use a tourniquet, but I'll go over that stuff too. You want to head to the nearest hospital if you're having life-threatening symptoms, and that's with any of those venomous snakes. So if you're having shock symptoms, you're difficulty breathing, really low blood pressure, just go to the nearest hospital. If you're actually not feeling life-threatening symptoms, you might have time to call around and see if anybody there's a snakebite expert. I do know that there's not necessarily a snakebite expert at the Christus Santa Rosa in San Marcos, but there is rattlesnake antivenom, so it's a good idea to get familiar with what hospitals near you have that antivenom, and also vets. All venomous snakes have fangs, so if you're going to get bit and you have fang marks, it is a venomous snake, but sometimes the swelling happens so quick, it's hard to see those fangs, so if you're having any kind of symptoms like that, you would still want to head to the hospital. And then non-venomous snakes, just wash with soap and water, and I don't know. I used to be afraid to get bit by a snake until I was bit by a snake, a non-venomous snake, and it really didn't hurt. Their fangs are so sharp, and they let go so fast. It was just oh, okay, I'm not freaked out anymore. So this is what not to do. Don't cut and suck the bite. Don't apply a tourniquet. So this is only for the U.S. If you're in other countries, it's a totally different ballgame. They have a lot of different snakes. You might need to, if you do a tourniquet, it's keeping that venom in that spot. You could lose that extremity. Some other countries like Africa, Australia, if you don't use a tourniquet, you're going to die. So this is only U.S. venomous snakes. Don't apply a constriction or pressure immobilization for pit vipers. It's okay for coral snakes. Don't use electrical shock treatment. Some people have said that you can shock yourself with a car battery and immobilize the venom. That does not work. Don't apply heat. You can apply ice 5 minutes at a time, 5 minutes on or 10 minutes off, but don't just keep ice on there. And don't use a suction device, also called a snake bite kit, which is super confusing. And I've had people go on these ultra runs in the desert, and they required them to carry a snake bite. And this person was a wilderness paramedic, and she's like, I guess I'm just going to decorate it and call it my friend because I'm never going to use it if I get bit by a snake. So those things don't work, so don't use them. And don't try to capture it. It's really crazy though, like all of these things we've been told to do at some point probably in our life, so there's a lot of misinformation out there.
One thing that I heard many years ago when I moved to Texas about snakes was that even though it's non-venomous, you still have to be careful because of the rabies that it may carry.
So they would not carry rabies because they're reptiles, so only mammals would carry rabies. Actually, snakes are a really great kind of sink for diseases. So like if they eat a mammal that has Lyme disease or rabies or something like that, that disease dies with them. So so actually really good at controlling disease.
So you don't have to worry about, okay.
Would it be some, hold on, I can't say. If you would need antibiotics because of...
Yeah, if it got infected, yeah, so infection's possible, like with any kind of cut or bite, so you just want to clean it and watch it, but yeah, you wouldn't even want antibiotics with a pit viper bite unless it was infected. So that's one of the things they tell you on that support site to say, well, why are you trying to give me antibiotics, is there some kind of infection? A lot of doctors really love to prescribe antibiotics. This is the protocol from that site. You can't read this, it's tiny letters, but you have a copy of it if you got this. But if you go to that site on Facebook, they have this in their files. You can get all this stuff off of that file. So it's basically what they should be doing at the hospital. And then this is for vets. So all this stuff about, you get bit by a venomous snake and not many die. Different for pets, because pets are very curious, right? So dogs and cats, they're looking at that snake and they want to mess with it usually. So they're more likely to get bit. And then when you monitor that National Snakebite Support, that's mostly what you see. Like you see a lot of that. Pets getting bit. So there's a lot of great protocols for that. Like just like we would remove our jewelry, remove their collars, try to distance your pet from the snake, try to get a photo of it, try to keep it calm, which is really hard with a lot of pets, a lot of dogs. And then again, don't try to capture the snake. Try to get it to critical care if it's a night or weekend and you don't really have a big choice in where you take it. Otherwise, take it somewhere that's close, but request a transfer to a snakebite expert, like hospital, if you can get there for pets. And then somewhere that they can monitor it overnight, because it can change. One thing I wanted to back up and say, coral snake bites are really weird. So if you get bit by a coral snake, you might not have any symptoms for quite a while, and that's the same with pets. So it's a different kind of toxin. So pit vipers, if they envenomated you, you're going to have pain, you're going to have swelling, all that kind of stuff. Coral snakes, it's going to take a while, sometimes even a day before it starts showing. So you just want to go to the hospital no matter what. And then the anti-venom is helpful as long as there's effects. So just like with people, if you're not showing any symptoms of being envenomated, you don't want the anti-venom because it's really hard on your system. So same with your pet. If they're not exhibiting symptoms, there's certain protocol that they should follow. So again, anti-venom, if they're having these symptoms, IV fluids, pain management, and no NSAIDs. So that's like really contraindicated and because it's going to make your blood keep, the blood thinner. So that's a problem with that. And then have them do blood work because that's going to really tell them how the venom is progressing or not. And then no corticosteroids or steroids, subcutaneous fluid can cause bleeding. Human medications or home remedies, don't try that. Benadryl, like a lot of people, I used to live in Arizona, and I know people that would swear by Benadryl, like, oh, my dog got bit by I know a guy that got bit by like 3 baby rattlesnakes, and he just took Benadryl. I mean, he made it, but the Benadryl didn't have anything to do with it, because that's an antihistamine, so unless he was like allergic to the snake or something, that's the only way that Benadryl would come in there. And then again, antibiotics aren't going to be good for the venom, it's just going to be good if there's an infection. And there's a whole protocol for pets also on that site. So why do we need snakes? I mean, I just think they're super cool. I just think they're beautiful, they're calm, they're therapeutic to me. I feel like they're very zen animals. They're revered in various cultures of the world. Some of them have them as gods. Some of them worship them. Some of them they're their savior. So there's a lot of cultural reasons. But we need snakes. We need venomous snakes to save things from venomous snakes, because that's the only way where you're going to get the anti-venom is from the venom. So that's a big one too. But also they're used in a lot of drugs. They're used in a lot of cancer drugs, breast cancer. They're like finding tumor shrinking properties with them. So lots of drugs that are really important for people. Heart drugs are derived from snake venom. And then they are a vital element in the food chain, so lots of things eat snakes, and snakes eat lots of things. They definitely eat a ton of rodents, but they also, again, like end that cycle of disease in a lot of those animals, like mice that carry diseases. And then they're kind of ecosystem engineers. They shape their environment somewhat. And then they help with seed dispersal, which a lot of people don't know about. So when they're eating those little rodents and stuff that eat seeds, when they poop them out, they're pooping those seeds out too. So they're actually spreading seeds, which is, I think, super cool. All right, any questions?
Are you familiar with the lady in Austin, Miss Winters?
No.
Well, we went to her. She has 3 snakes, a rattlesnake, a moccasin, and a coral, and she puts a dog collar on your dog.
Oh, yeah.
And she lets them go up and, you know, I mean, they're live snakes.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Let it kind of not sniff it in any way.
Right.
And the moment the dog spots it, she shocks that.
Yeah, so snake aversion training, yeah. So yeah, there's a guy, so that Snakes of Hays County guy, he does that too. He does it like once a month, I think in like the Buda area. But yeah, it's very effective, that snake aversion training. So if you do have dogs that are prone to getting in trouble, that might be a good idea.
Bird dogs, because a lot of bird dogs would go out and they were very expensive bird dogs. But anyway, it works. It's a pretty expensive situation.
Yeah. And it really works best with those actual live snakes. It freaks people out a little bit, but it's safe. They make sure it's safe, and yeah.
Has there been any other kinds of snakes that have been spotted in Texas, like boas or?
Oh yeah, there's constantly like. You know, people are, what kind of snake is that? And it's like, that's somebody's escape ball python. So a lot of escape ball pythons, some boas and stuff like that. They're always escape pets. There was a guy that got bit by the most venomous snake in the world recently. I think he was in Florida, an inland taipan, which is the most venomous snake in the world. Last I heard he was still alive, but he was in a coma. They got the anti-venom. It took them like 3 hours to find it. I don't know where did you find that? Like, why did somebody have inland taipan anti-venom? But
what kind of snake was that?
it's called an inland taipan. And yeah, most venomous snake in the world. And I mean, if he makes it, he's gonna have to learn how to do everything all over again.
How about the blue indigo? Have you ever seen?
Oh gosh, they're my favorite. I mean, they're incredible. So they're really big. Like, you know, they can get like 7 feet long. They eat other snakes. They eat rattlesnakes. They're black and they have like this kind of blue sheen on them. They're found. I don't know if they're found in Guadalupe County or not. I know they're found south of San Antonio. They are here. I mean, it seems like their habitat. And then I used to live at Medina Lake, and there's this weird little population there that I saw them a few times out there. They're gorgeous, and they used to be protected in Texas. They took them off the list now. I mean, it's probably good. It probably means they're doing okay, but it's a bummer because I just love them. Yeah.
If you mess with
No, they're not.
If you mess with the snake bite, will it bruise?
If you got bit by a snake, you probably wouldn't want to mess with it, right? So you would just want to, like if it was just a non-venomous snake bite, you would just want to wash it off and kind of like keep it clean, right? You don't want to like touch it because then you could get dirt and stuff in it and it could get infected. If it's a venomous snake bite, it's gonna just really hurt to touch it. It's going to bruise for sure on its own. So you just kind of enjoy watching that, I guess.
I have 2 more questions if it's not too much.
No, go for it.
Questions. So I work at a place where they sell snake repellents.
Yeah.
Do they work?
No. They're actually really bad for the environment too. So snake repellent doesn't work. Really what works is trying to make your area not attractive to snakes or the things snakes like to eat. So, so there are people that do snake fencing that's pretty effective. And again, I'm really not promoting this guy, but Snakes of Hays County, in the wintertime, he does take a limited number of those jobs where he installs snake fencing and he actually guarantees it, which is pretty rare. But there is like, 1/4-inch mesh kind of fencing that you can put out. You can kind of dig under things that kind of keep snakes out, but then just not having brush piles, not having mulch. I mean, I'm not telling a bunch of gardeners not to have mulch. It's not going to work. But like if you don't want them near your house, keep your garden further away from your house. Keep the cool, attractive spots away from your house, that kind of thing.
Because we have one thing that we sell a lot of, not to discredit it because I can't say that.
Yeah, yeah.
But it says it's university tested. No? Still no?
No. Yeah. I mean, it might have been tested, but the results might not have been great.
Don't waste your money on snakes.
So, and then, don't buy snake repellent. No, it's gonna mess with your garden and your ecosystem.
How about mothballs?
Mothballs are really bad. So that's naphthalene, and it's like causes cancer and stuff. So you definitely don't want mothballs around. I had when I worked at Government Canyon, we had a guy that worked in our maintenance area that was trying to get rid of mice, and he put mothballs in like every room, and I like got like damage to my lungs from breathing it in. Like I had to have him take it out of all the rooms. I couldn't work in my office for like a month until that like it was gone. He put it in the air conditioning vents. And it was terrible. Yeah, it was horrible.
So my second question is another product that's pretty popular, rat bait and everything like that. I know that it's the law now to put them in things to keep children and pets away, but how do you help not kill snakes with it? Because I know that's almost...
It's pretty much, like don't use it if you don't want to kill a snake or birds, yeah. So the animals can often still get out, like unless it's just a trap, I would just recommend using, for me, I feel like the more humane thing to do is use a snap trap. If you're trying to get rid of your mice, just use a snap trap and kill it, or use a live trap and relocate it, but it's probably not going to make it when you're relocating it away from its, house. And then you're kind of giving somebody else your problem too. So my recommendation would just use those snap traps are pretty effective, even though it's a hard thing to do.
Have you heard of using Irish Spring?
I haven't.
Original Irish Spring.
For repelling mice?
It doesn't work. The mice eat it.
Oh.
Anyway. I have some in my bathroom counter that I was trying to sort of use both for myself and keep the mice away, and they're just nibbling at it.
Nikki, we have a question.
We had a snake in the backyard. It had a triangular head, and then when we got up next to him, he flared up and looked like a cobra.
That's a hognose. Speaking of which, I forgot I had a snake here.
Wait.
So this is not probably that one. This is a Mexican hognose. The bigger ones are Eastern hognose. They're kind of thicker. But we have Eastern hognose and Western hognose in this area. Champ, my little girl here, she is a Mexican hognose, so she'd be like West Texas or South Texas. She's a subspecies of Western hognose. And she's my baby. So she's beautiful. She's 6 years old. She has the most beautiful belly. And she has this little turned up nose, so she's a burrower. And she would be looking for toads and lizards, but she also just likes to burrow most of the time. So that nose helps her. She's like a built-in gardener, right? And she can flatten her head, so she has extra skin along her neck that she can pretend to look like a cobra, which is really weird because we have no cobras in North America, but she somehow knows to look like a cobra. So I'm going to keep answering questions, but if anyone wants to touch her, you're welcome to. We just ask that you use a 2-finger touch or a 1-finger touch towards her tail. Just be gentle. Snakes do have bones. In fact, they have a ton of little rib bones. So if you press down too hard, you could break their ribs. And if you squeeze them, you could break their ribs. But not to freak you out. You can pet her. She's pretty durable.
Do we have any protected snakes?
Any protected snakes? I don't think so. We have a Texas tortoise that's protected and some toads, but I think the indigo is the only protected snake. Oh, sorry. There's a little girl coming here. Oh, yeah. She feels very smooth and nice. These are my favorite snakes. I know this one is very good. And then if anyone doesn't have questions and doesn't, go ahead. So that could have been either a western knot snake or a bull snake. Bull snakes, they both kind of do that weird, they're trying to act like rattlesnakes. Yeah. And then on this picture up here, I have some water snakes. So this is the cottonmouth we were looking at earlier. And these are those labial lines I was talking about. So it has these really just vertical, kind of thinner lines if it's a water snake. Same with this guy up here, the plain-bellied water snake. So these are the most two common ones in our area. You get a little bit south of here, you get the banded water, or the broad-banded water snake, which is a little bit different. But the plain-bellied is also often called a banded water snake. She moves kind of like a caterpillar. You can see her, so she moves a little different than like a rat snake would move. She inches along. She does have muscles, but yeah, you have to support them. Yeah, any snake you want to hold them, you want to support their whole body because they can strain their muscles. Yeah.
So one time I came in the pool, we were swimming, and there was a snake in the water. What kind of snake is it?
All snakes can swim, so it could have been anything, but it's probably one of these two top water snakes, maybe a baby one or something. If anyone's done with the talk, you're welcome to not listen to me anymore. But if you did do a survey, I have the post survey QR code here and the paper copies right here also. Anyone else want to meet Sam? Oh, yeah.
She's 6 years old.
She's 6, yeah, and I've had her since she was 4 inches long.
I knew they were sliding with scales.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, you can set your free copy down and then just grab a postcard. Oh, yeah, that's a rat snake. Western rat snake.